Views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this episode are that of the guest and host and do not necessarily reflect the values of sponsors or other associated organizations. Welcome to the Parental Compass by Family Education and Support Services. I am your host, Bobby Williams. Please subscribe to the show, tell a friend, or leave us a review. It helps us get these ideas out to more people. When you're immigrating from a different country, especially when you have children, there can be a lot to navigate. The food, feeling isolated, differing cultural values. It's a lot. We are joined today by Alice Wamburi, who immigrated from Kenya and was recently joined by her children. She's here to share a little bit of what she's learned and ideas that could work for you. Really just good ideas in general. Even if you're not immigrating from a different country, there's a lot in here that you can include in your life. Alice works with survivors of gender-based violence, and you can learn more about her work and her life coaching by going to blossombeyondabuse.org or looking up Blossom Beyond Abuse on Facebook. Let's get into this.
And also, I had two young children that I was trying to change their lives. And so when I got an opportunity to come over here, I jumped right into it.
And your children came more recently. What was that like the first few months when they got here and were just experiencing all of what America has?
Oh my God, I had been separated from them for almost 7 years. So when they got here, it was amazing. They were in a wall about everything. The big houses, like I remember the first time we went to McDonald's and they were looking at the burger, they were like, wow, that is big. Everything about America was just pretty much fascinating for them. How people spoke. They were like, Mom, they speak so fast.
So it sounds like in a lot of ways it was kind of a fun new experience. But then
Yes.
I'm sure there were challenges along the way too, those first few months.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Especially the food. They struggled a lot because obviously they hadn't um some of the food here we don't have it back home, or if we do it kind of tasted different. Like I remember the first time my son had a banana, he was like, Mom, this doesn't taste like a banana. Back home they're used to just getting a banana from the farm. You just get it a few days, it's ripe and you can have it. So the taste about everything, they kept talking about the taste. Everything tasted different.
And they didn't speak English when they first were here.
They could hear English, but they weren't very fluent with it.
So I imagine that was kind of a barrier too.
Yeah, they were like, Mom, I didn't hear what they said, and also some words, like like they kept asking me, why are people saying water? It's water, you know. Yeah, so some words, they were like, no, it's supposed to be said this way. But within a few months, you would have thought they were born here. They picked up the English pretty quick.
What do you think helped them to learn so quickly?
Being in school and being around other children speaking English all the time, and they're not, and even when they came home, I did speak English with them because I needed to help them um, to be able to get fluent in the language. But also in school, they were able to be given an extra help. I think it was EP, something learning. There was a program they were given whereby they were being helped with English, and they really did very good with it.
That's one thing that's nice about schools in a way is
Yes.
the school is for the whole community. Whoever lives in the neighborhood,
Yes.
you're going to that
Yes.
school, and it's the
Yes.
school's job to make sure you
Hmm.
can learn regardless of your language or anything.
Yeah, and I would take them to the local library, so I would get them books. we'll read stories. And I remember the local library had days where we'll go do stories, we'll go play, and that really helped them because after school I'll take them there when I'm free, or the YMCA, and they interacted with other kids, and so they pretty much picked up very quickly.
We've talked before about
Hmm.
how sometimes the culture here can feel sort of isolating, like you're not
Hmm.
talking to your neighbor, you're not talking to strangers that much.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes, that was one thing that my children could not understand when they got here. They could not understand how we could not talk to a next door neighbor. They could not understand how we could not go out on the streets and ride the bikes everywhere without anybody asking you anything. So every time they wanted to be out riding their bikes, I was like, I have to be there. I have to see where you're going. And they were like, why? Because back home, they can move from one estate to another. They can, ride bikes like maybe 30 minutes away or an hour away, and they'll come back home. So they couldn't understand why they could not go anywhere without being supervised. My younger son used to talk to, he's a talker. So he would be like, what's your name? And he wanted to know more about everyone and anyone. And he was like, Mom, people don't say hello here.
I'll talk to my neighbors, but then a lot of the time it's like, I'm busy. I don't want to talk right now. Just let me.
Exactly. And now they get it. But, because even me when I came, I was like, okay, you're my neighbor. I just want to say hello, get to know you and stuff. But nowadays, I'm that neighbor. Sometimes I'm just so tired. I can park my car, unload my car, and get into the house,
Hmm?
you know. Yes.
That's just capitalism is such a grind too.
Yes.
Yeah, and then just try to get some time to relax in the middle
Mm.
there.
Yes.
So it seemed like, in a lot of ways, the culture here was isolating.
Very.
And how do you find community then? Or what are some steps you took to build community around yourself and your family?
So one thing I did is enroll them in when we were in Arizona, they were playing football then. So I looked for a football club and I did enroll them in that. So at least there they had friends and we had like a family. And then they were also doing basketball. So there we also had like a family because we would do practice, and then the days that we had games, we would buy pizzas and drinks, and the boys would hang around each other and parents. And also I joined the local church. So I looked for a church. So again, there I had family at the church. They had Sunday school. They would go for camp. The church had activities for children every now and then. So there was always something happening. There will be, they will have some days it's swimming. Sometimes we'll have games, and sometimes we'll have like fireworks. We'll go for nights for fireworks. So that also gave us a bit of a community. And then I just YMCA, also I joined YMCA, and at YMCA they had all this, sometimes it's cooking, sometimes it's coding, sometimes it's just stories. Then I joined the Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Again, there my boys were able to have um, friends, and also somewhere that we can have a family, because remember it was just me and my two boys. And also, I was fortunate enough to also have met some Kenyan community people from my country, and we kind of did interact. But yeah, I actively went out there trying to get into anything that would get these boys out and about.
It seems like a great lesson for a lot of families. Like there's ways
Oh
to build
yes,
community, go to church, get in soccer,
yes.
football.
Yes, yes. And I think one thing was like some of this there's a lot of fear and a lot of things that get said about some of these programs. Like people will be like, "Oh, I don't want my children to be in Big Brothers and Big Sisters Club." But not because you know of anything that goes in there, but some of these resources people are not aware of them. Or sometimes you assume that they'll be very expensive,
Mm.
that you can't afford. But some of these programs, you're able to join them. They offer scholarships. I remember they did ask how much I was earning. They were able to check the kind of bills I'm paying. And then so I was able to be given a price that I could easily afford.
I'm interested to hear more about the fear piece. I think often too, it's like ICE is a big thing in the news right now. And
Oh
that,
yeah.
even if you're here legally,
Yes.
sometimes it's just like, are they going to report me to ICE or something? Do you think
Yes.
that's true in your experience with yourself or other people, like other Kenyans, you know?
Yeah, I've had my children come home not once, not twice, because maybe they had a child, or they had a story, or they watch the news. Amazingly, our children will watch the news and they'll be like, "Mom, are we gonna get picked up as well?" And that fear for them sometimes is real, So they're like, "Oh, we don't want to go there because we don't want to get arrested." And so you have to reassure them, that yes, people are getting, ICE is out there and it's arresting, taking people, but you have to talk to them in a language that they can understand and erase their fears. But it's very unfortunate. It's very, very unfortunate when they have to keep uh, wondering, are they safe when they go to school? Will they? Because I remember there was a time they watched a video of a child who was taken from school. They were separated, with their parents. And I remember my boys going, if we were ever picked up when we were in school, would you be given an opportunity to see us? Would you be able to see you? And because I had left them for many years, to them that fear is real. They don't want to be in a situation whereby we're not together again. So the immigration staff is really scary for the immigrants.
It's
Yeah,
a difficult time in that regard for sure.
it it is.
So I imagine you're a little bit of two minds about your children coming to America. On
Mhm.
one hand, you want them to Americanize in a way or fit in.
Yes,
On the other hand, your culture is important to you. You're
yes,
Kenyan
yes.
and you don't want to lose that. So, how do you balance the two, or what does that look like for you?
So I try to blend in and blend out. And that what that means is, especially when it comes to my language, I still speak to them in our language at home, and they do understand. And my older son will speak in our language, but my younger one completely his language is gone. But it's amazing when they're in trouble and they want to tell me something, they switch pretty fast into a language. So it's there somewhere. It's not completely gone. So I do try and speak, obviously the language, I do that. I speak with them in my language. We try and like when it comes to food, they still haven't been able to adapt to the food. So I do a lot of home cooking. I think right now we only have two restaurants where my children can literally, like steakhouse and obviously McDonald's. Which child doesn't
Mhm.
like McDonald's
The
and Pizza
universal
House?
food, yeah.
Yes, yes, but everything else I do a lot of home cooking. So I also we also watch stuff about our culture. We attend events about our culture, but funny enough, they're not really interested. But I know for now because they're trying to fit in and everything. That's how I see it. I think as they grow older, they'll come to appreciate their culture. Right now, there's that place where they just want. It's not. I instill in it. We talk about it.
Have there been any pieces of American culture that have concerned you, or you're like, oh, I don't want that for my child?
Uh, one thing is when they walk around in pajamas. I saw that like when we were going for basketball, they wear pajamas, and I was like, "Why are you guys in pajamas?" They're like, "Mom, it's cool. It's there's a name they call it. I can't remember the name." And I was like, "For me, pajamas are for going to bed." So we agreed with them when it comes to pajamas. I still haven't allowed them to go basketball training in pajamas, but they can wear anything else that every child is wearing. The shoes is huge. Like you buy them really nice shoes, but they'll just be in, are they called slacks? They just put these shoes and socks, and you're just like, so you allow them. It's what every child is doing, and it's harmless. So, and I guess it's their fashion at this point in time. They just wear things that we normally would not wear when we were growing up.
I agree about the shoes. I think shoes are cool, but the pajamas I couldn't get behind. I would be like, no way are we.
Yeah, yeah. I say no going out in pajamas, no.
What would you say to parents who maybe have immigrated recently or just had their children Super great. What would you say to them if they're feeling isolated or overwhelmed? What would your general advice be?
I would say, depending on where you're living, look, the local library is a good way of connecting with resources. That's where everything for me started because they have, when you go there, they have all activities. And I'm sure among all those activities, you will find something that you like. Also, in school, where your kids go to school, make friends with parents because the parents will really you get included because they know if they're having like I remember activities in school. I volunteered in school, so I was able to make friends with parents. I was able to know if there's something that is happening in the community, I'll get invited. So I would say don't stay at home, get out, especially in school. There are plenty of resources. Ask other parents, you know talk to them, befriend them, and be confident, tell them, I'm new in the community, I'm looking for somewhere to take my boys swimming, I'm looking for a club. That's how I found everything that I was looking for.
You'd be surprised with how welcoming people can be sometimes.
People are
Also, just being part of a scene or being familiar, like the more people see you around, the more they're comfortable with you and you make friendships.
Oh yes, oh yes. When I especially when I moved here in Olympia, I was like, I knew nobody in Olympia, no one. you know but now I know so many places. I go to so many events, I get invited to so many events because they see me, I hear there's something they need a volunteer, I jump in. I go in and I tag my boys along with me. Like now the tour that we did today, I'm a member of a lottery club and we were somewhere and we were talking and, they were like, oh, we normally do give tours at the police department if you want to, learn about the police. And I was like, I'll jump right into it. So I took my boys with me and they were pretty, amazed by the things that we learned, but they also had a lot of questions and they had a lot of things that they knew that I didn't know. And I was like, what's that? How do you know about that? So, so that just be out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have any websites that people can learn more about you and your work?
Yes. I on Facebook I'm called Alice Wamburi. That's my normal page. Then I have my page for my foundation, which is called Blossom BOWs, also on Facebook. And also I have a website which is blossombows.org. I'm also a life coach. I do coaching because I survived GBV, which is gender-based violence. I do work with men and women who have survived or who are going through it or who are thinking of going, leaving the places. I do take coaching and we work on that journey. I have a 6 weeks program that I do with them. And we walk you through the journey from the time of wanting to leave, leaving, you know, and then because once you leave, now it's a whole new journey until you get to a point where you feel like you're okay. So I walk with you through all that.
Well, this was a great conversation. It's been good to get to know you a little. And
Yes.
thank you so much for taking the time to do this today.
And thank you. Thank you for having me because it's through meeting Charlie and coming to your organization that this interview happened. So again, just you never know who you meet out there and where the connection will take you. So I normally say your connection is your worth.
Shout out to Shelly Willis, our executive director.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alice. BlossomBeyondAbuse.org or look up Blossom Beyond Abuse on Facebook. Great conversation today. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next episode. I'm Bobby Williams, representing Family Education and Support Services. Peace.